Sometimes, the funniest things in wrestling are learning about the ribs, or pranks, that go on backstage. Seriously, I don't care what you've done with your mates when you went to Benidorm or whatever, you have nothing on pro wrestlers. All that travelling must send their minds into creative overdrive. Some performers have become known as legendary pranksters too, Owen Hart, the British Bulldog, Curt Hennig, and Mr. Fuji being right at the top of that list. Their stories are always an absolute treat. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and this is the 10 greatest WWE superstar ribs of all time. Number 10, Mr. Fuji and the car engine. I will never get over this, ever. One of the most notorious ribbers in wrestling history, Mr. Fuji simply didn't give a shit. If he thought he could get one over you, you can bet your ass that's exactly what he would do. From stealing bags to rearranging travel plans, meaning wrestlers would actually go to the wrong location, to urinating on Lex Luger, seriously, there's nothing he wouldn't do. This is evident when we get to what he did do to Bobby Eaton. Despite already landing at his intended destination, despite already booking his rental car, and despite not travelling with Mr. Fuji, Eaton had a massive surprise waiting for him when he finally sat down in his vehicle preparing to head to the arena. It wouldn't start. The reason it wouldn't start is because one Mr. Fuji had removed the engine. The engine! Furthermore, it cost Mr. Fuji a bucket load of time and a bucket load of money. But Fuji don't care. The man was a hero. I mean, a dick, but a hero. Number 9. Shawn Stasiak and his passport. Some ribs are funny, some ribs are just mean. I think this falls into the latter category. In short, Shawn Stasiak, or Meat if you prefer, was not well liked backstage. He had a talent for rubbing people up the wrong way. Just a shame he didn't have any talent in the ring. Sorry. And on one European tour in 2002, it clearly became too much for one Mr. Perfect. Deciding he needed a break from the man, Perfect burned his passport and then sprinkled the remains in his bag. The reason? Stasiak wouldn't be able to travel, and the crew would get a much-needed break from him. I mean, the logic is sound. It's like school all over again. Number 8, Mark Henry and the sandwich. And I really hope this one isn't true. I mean, I really hope it isn't true. Unfortunately, it seems very likely that it is true. When Mark Henry first arrived on the wrestling scene, people weren't too fond of him. Apparently carrying himself with way too much confidence and upsetting people, the entire locker room took a disliking to him. It was the beginning of the end. It all started when the world's strongest man was recovering from an injury with the aid of crutches. Things started off light-hearted enough when someone hid these. Unfortunately, Henry didn't take too kindly to the matter and threatened to do some damage unless they were returned. That's when things got bad. During a lunch break, when Mark was away from his food, X-Pac left a little gift inside his sandwich, which was apparently a piece of shit. After biting into it, Henry immediately ran to the bathroom to throw up, as you would do if you'd just eaten a piece of shit. When he came back, his crutches were gone again. Finally, Owen Hart told him he had to see Vince McMahon, who just so happened to be on the other side of the arena, immediately. With a banged up leg and now no medical help, Henry limped across only to find out that Vince hadn't been there all day. That is a tough 24 hours, Mark. At least everyone loves you now. Number 7. The British Bulldog and his milk injections. It's no surprise today that Davey Boy Smith was on the juice. Hell, most pro wrestlers were in that period, but that's another list for another time. When the Bulldog first started to take the drug, however, he asked longtime tag team partner the Dynamite Kid to help him out. After all, why jab a needle in your own ass when you can get someone else to do it for you? Dynamite happily obliged and did so for weeks, and everything seemed right as rain. Aside from all the steroids that were going down. When Smith noticed the locker room making mooing sounds at him though, things started to come together. Or at least they did, when wife Diana Hart finally found out that the Kid had actually been injecting Davey Boy with milk. That is f***ing weird. Number 6, Yokozuna and the plane pool. Never trust Curt Hennig. Any wrestler should have known that back in the day. The man simply didn't care, and if he thought something was funny, it didn't matter who you were. In 1993, Yokozuna fell foul to exactly this. As the two shared a flight, Hennig offered Yoko a chocolate bar. The former world champion accepted and chowed down on his delicious sweet treat. Only the bar was laced with laxatives, which meant a 500-pound Samoan now needed to take a shit. But he was too big to use the airplane toilets. The answer? A stewardess took the Zuns to the back of the plane and made a makeshift area using newspaper and blankets. Just imagine that. Turn around, there's Yokozuna just shitting on a plane. Hennig must have got off on that one for weeks. Number 5, the Ultimate Warrior and the bucket of poo. What the f*** is it with wrestlers and poo? That's all they can come up with? You sat around wondering how to prank someone, and every time someone goes, I've got it, excrement. It's embarrassing. Be more creative. That's not to say it isn't funny, which was the case when your man Mr. Perfect returned once more to get one over the Ultimate Warrior. We've all seen a wrestler appear from nowhere to make a surprise appearance, and on most occasions, said performer is hiding under the ring. Problem is, if you're anyone of note and your spot is in the main event, you're going to be waiting under there for a damn long time. The last thing you're going to want is a bucket of poo stinking up the joint. So guess what happened? Warrior couldn't leave because the show had started. Perfect probably almost cried laughing in the back. It is absolutely ridiculous, but quite amusing at the same time. Number 4, Jonathan Coachman in the gambling pool. It wasn't just The Rock who would go Jonathan Coachman on TV back in 2001. Everyone was out to get a piece of him behind the scenes too. After Jerry Briscoe had asked the announcer to run a football pool for the upcoming season, the coach happily agreed, until 2 policemen knocked on his dressing room door and told him he was being arrested because such gambling is illegal in North Carolina. As they passed Vince McMahon's office, the cops told Coach they had to stop in to let Vince know he was going to go away for a long time. And that's what they did. And McMahon proceeded to tear him a new one right in front of Triple H, The Rock, Stephanie McMahon, Kevin Dunn and Jerry Briscoe for 45 minutes. The chairman of the board even threw a pair of sweaty gym shorts in Jonathan Coachman's face, and he was legitimately driven away in a police car. The outcome? The boys in blue said they had left something at the arena, at which point Johnny Boy was let into the gag, before going into a corner and crying his eyes out. Which isn't that surprising, really. Number 3, Ahmed Johnson and the early entrance music. Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith were thick as thieves when it came to ribs, often riling the other one up. You definitely weren't safe when they were both around. Trouble was always near. Ahmed Johnson found out this the hard way in the middle of a dark match. Thinking the bout had plenty of time to run, the master of the Pearl River Plunge's music hit out of nowhere, an act Johnson took as a cue to go home early. That's what he did. Backstage though, Mike Rotunda, aka IRS, who was the agent of the match, was livid because of how short the contest was cut. And then guess who walked out of the sound truck with innocent looks on their faces? If you said anyone other than Owen Hart or the British Bulldog, you just were not paying attention. Number 2, Val Venis and his real phone number. Way back in 1999, Al Snow and the Big Boss Man were involved in a storyline where the latter had stolen the former's dog, Pepper. Understandably upset at his loss, Al did whatever he could to get him back, including turning up on Raw with a sign asking people with any knowledge to call this number and help him out. As you imagine, a lot of people did call that number, given it was the height of the Attitude Era, and, well, why not ring it to see who picked up? If you had done that, mind, you would have got through to none other than Val Venis, because Al Snow had used Val Venis's real phone number. It didn't stop ringing for days until eventually Val had to get his number changed. Wonderful. Number 1, Owen Hart and everything he did. Owen Hart was the ultimate wrestling prankster. There are so many hilarious stories about Owen getting one over his peers, and every one is funnier than the last. There's a time he wound up his own dad, Stu Hart, on the phone in a hotel by pretending to be someone who wanted to kick his ass in the lobby, spiking some chili at Harley Race's house to see how everyone would react, and getting a key to other wrestlers' hotel rooms so he could get there early, shit in the toilet, turn the heat right up, and then get out of there before the intended guest arrived. One of the best stories, however, comes from former WWE superstar Edge. During a match, Owen had told the rated R superstar that he was going to use a foreign object, but it was concealed in his armpit so that no one could see. That meant Edge couldn't see it either, so he just decided to sell each smack as if it had been whacked with a brick. After a few minutes of this nonsense, the referee demanded Owen reveal the weapon, which he did. It was a napkin, meaning Edge had been acting like he was on death's door because Hart had been hitting him with what is essentially a piece of paper. Utter legend.
Hello WhatCulture, my name is Simon Miller and today I have an announcement so big, so huge, it's gonna shatter the very foundations of your life to the point you may need to phone up a friend and say, I don't even know who I am anymore, I have just heard the news. Have you heard the news? I've heard you out there, I've seen you've been commenting, I've read your tweets, and I can now officially let you know that if you do enjoy Raw ups and downs, if you do enjoy SmackDown ups and downs, that now you'll be able to set your watches to them, you'll be able to make notes in your calendars, because we're gonna have an official time for when they're gonna go live. I know, massive. So Ups and Downs for Raw will go live at 2 p.m. GMT, that's British time every Tuesday, and they will go live at 2 p.m. GMT every Wednesday for SmackDown. So you don't have to be aimlessly walking around anymore going, what do? I want to know what got up and what got down and what Seth Rollins did or what AJ Styles is up to. Now you know, 2 p.m. GMT Tuesday, 2 p.m. GMT Wednesdays, Ups and Downs coming at you in the face. I realise what I just said, retract that, keep moving on, and I hope to see you there soon. And I hope that we build an audience so big that if I ever wanted to march an army anywhere in the world, I could, and we'd call it the Ups and Downs Army, because I haven't come up with a better name.